on a number of structures. What I have sought to do is to rely on the wisdom and the insights of as many talented, gifted South Africans as possible.
As South Africa's financial problems deepen, more and more people are feeling stressed out. A recent survey by DebtBusters says women and younger South Africans feel the most financial stress. The survey reveals that younger people and those with less income are the most anxious, and women in particular bear the weight of financial stress. DebtBusters Executive Head Benay Sager joins us now live to unpack further for us, detailing some of the key findings of this survey. Good afternoon, Benay. Welcome to eNCA, and thank you very much for your time. I understand this is the third annual such survey that you've done. Overall, trend-wise, is our stress levels worse in this third one than they were when you did this survey the first time?
I wish I could say we're in a better place. However, so we are worse than 2022, I'm afraid, the first time we did the survey. However, we are better than 2023. So there's a bit of improvement, I think, from a financial stress perspective. Last year, 78% of the individuals told us they were financially stressed. This year, 75%. But 2 years ago, it was 70%. So not as good as 2022, but not as bad as 2023 is how I would probably characterize it.
Yeah, now 75% of the people you surveyed say they feel financially stressed. But out of that, there's a bigger number, as we will show our viewers now, one of your graphics. 93% of those who are feeling financially stressed say that this is now negatively affecting their home life, their work life, and their health.
Yeah, that's correct. And that is, this is a large-scale survey. We had 26,000 participants, and, it's consistent with, as you showing your viewers, consistent with previous years. When there's financial stress, our starting question was, does financial stress cause other types of stress in one's life? And I think fundamentally, it seems like the answers to that is yes. 75% of the people said they experienced financial stress. And of these, 93% felt this stress impacting their home life. And another, 76% affecting work, 74% affecting health, and so on. So it's pretty clear to us that I think all of us feeling, and as you pointed out in your previous segment, finances of the country, we are feeling it on a micro level in terms of our own finances as well. And I think particularly for women, because they carry so much of the burden with a lot of households. They are in charge of finances, but also making sure everyone has what they need and looking after multiple generations. But also on top of that, I think sometimes men are able to compartmentalize things and put them in different sort of places in their mind, as opposed to women always thinking, making sure that everyone has what they need, all of that. I think they carry that extra burden. That was the big finding for us.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers, when I looked at your report, is that women are 10% more stressed about finances, with almost 4 out of 5 women saying they suffer from financial stress. I mean, there are societal factors around that. And as we know, in South Africa, we have a huge chunk of our households which are headed by single women.
Yeah, it's true what you say. And I think, going into Women's Month, it's perhaps not the most exciting topic to talk about when it comes to finances, but I think it's a very important topic to talk about. And I think we need to just make sure we're looking after our women. They are carrying a lot of the burden, as you say, and across the board, that's pretty clear and evident to us across all age groups. And I think, we just need to recognize it, and we hope that this also gets the conversation going about how we're all dealing with stress differently. We see some differences between age groups as well. It seems that the older one gets, the more trust and time you're needing to actually deal with financial matters. Whereas our younger people are more keen, and they're doing more things. They're looking for better jobs. They're more keen to explore opportunities, but they need to be guided much more often. They don't have the knowledge. With age comes the knowledge and experience. With youth comes the energy.
Yeah. I mean, what are you seeing in terms of money concerns, the trends? Are people concerned most about their short-term needs, medium-term needs, or long-term needs? What did your survey reveal?
Yeah, I think when it comes to finances, I think people are overwhelmingly concerned about short-term things. And the top two issues that have surfaced, similar to previous years, number one is running out of money before the end of the month. And there, 48% of the people told us that this is their number one worry. And the second one is having enough money to cover their debt repayments. And there, 42% of the people told us that this was their primary concern. Both are at very elevated levels. I mean, that's almost half the population. And those are both short-term things in the sense that I'm thinking about the now, I'm thinking about this month, I'm thinking about next week. I'm looking forward to my payday to make sure I deal with them. And I think longer-term things such as retirement, they were only a concern for only 13% of the population. And often this is generally with higher age groups. So definitely, I think we are at such a state when it comes to finances that we're looking for opportunities to stretch our money in the short term.
Yeah, I also saw in your report, if you could just tell us more around this particular one, that older people with higher incomes are under the greatest debt repayment pressure. So servicing debt is a huge thing to the older people that you've surveyed.
Absolutely. At DebtBusters, we introduced something earlier this year to show people what % of their take-home pay they are using to repay their debt. And we call it Debt Sustainability Index. And the purpose was to give people almost like a traffic light or robot, color-coded way of saying, okay, if you're spending this amount, it's good. If you may be spending more than that, it's not good. And it goes something like this. If you're spending 20% or less of your take-home pay to pay back your debt, then you're okay. If you're spending 40% or more, then you are definitely in a situation where it's not sustainable. And as you say, we see that the older population, particularly those older than 45, and those with higher incomes, particularly those taking home 20,000 Rand or more, in both instances, about 60% of the populations are having to use 40% or more of their take-home pay to repay their debt. And that's a massive amount. I mean, that's 40% that's taken away from all the other necessities. It's money that's taken away from us being able to put aside for savings, invest in things, start another business, whatever it might be. And we certainly see this as an important trend.
Yeah, there's another aspect of your survey which I want to zoom into now, and we'll bring up a graphic about that now. About, people need to seek help. People have to find it, but you ask them questions around why they are not doing so. We're going to bring up another graphic now for our viewers, and I want you, Benay, just to talk to that as well, which is the question that, why have you not yet done something to alleviate your money stress? Because, rationally, if you're under stress, you want to do something to help yourself to get out of stress. Just talk to us about some people saying they're feeling stuck, for example.
Absolutely. And I think this is where it becomes fascinating for me, this topic, because often what you find is people will react generally in three ways when something unexpected happens to them or something big that they're faced with, such as dealing with finances. One, they will freeze, meaning they will just feel like they're just going to freeze and not do anything. Two, they will fight. They will fight it. They'll say, you know what, I'm going to take this head on. I'm going to put plans in place. I'm going to do all of that. And the third response is that it's flight. They're going to run away from it. And I think definitely you see this from the answers. So 29% of the people say, I feel stuck. They are frozen. They don't know what to do. And I think that's a normal human response. 23% said, I'm embarrassed to ask for help, meaning particularly for younger populations. But they don't actually know where to go, and they're feeling like, maybe I shouldn't ask this question. People are going to judge me. As you recall, the younger we are, the more we feel about what's happening around us, that we're more in tune, we're more aware that people may judge us for doing things. And 21% said, I need more time to think. And here, this was definitely prevalent with older age groups. they need more time to think. I think the challenge with that is that the more time that you take to think about how to deal with financial matters and debt, the fewer your options become. So I think what's important is to start with something, start doing anything today, just deal with it, recognize that there is something to be done about, and then proceed forward. So I think we'd like to highlight the psychological aspect of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, the psychological aspect of the situation might be easier, I must say this advisedly, might be easier for women folk to deal with, as you said earlier, because women will also speak openly about whatever is stressing them. And we guys, you and I, Benay, will try and compartmentalize things and act differently. But it's never too late to seek help. That's the message we are bringing here, especially around financial matters.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on. I couldn't have agreed more. I think, as you say, women flock to each other, also talk about things more often. And you're also seeing that with some of the survey results, more open. And I think it's very important for all of us. I'm not expecting this to become a dry conversation just yet, but I think it's very important that we use the opportunity to actually bring more light into this topic and make people become more aware that it's better to talk about it and deal with it than actually not.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time and helping us to understand your latest survey. That's Benay Sager. He's, of course, the Executive Head of DebtBusters, just unpacking some of the main findings of their latest debt survey that they've done. It's the third annual one that they've done, showing that we are financially stressed, not in a position that is improving. We're still worse off than we were a couple of years ago. I mean, some good advice there. You can do something about.